Hebrews. I'm gonna try to make this video a little longer. I did one with the no lost tribes, and this is another one. No 10 lost tribes. If you go to Second Chronicles chapter 30, you'll see King Hezekiah sent to all Israel in Judah and wrote unto Ephraim and Manasseh that they should come to the house of the Elohim at Jerusalem to keep the Passover unto the Elohim Yah of Israel. For the king had taken counsel and his princes and all the congregation in Jerusalem to keep the Passover in the second month. For they could not keep it at the time, because the priests had not sanctified themselves sufficiently, neither had the people gathered themselves together to Jerusalem. And the thing pleased the king and all the congregation. So they established a decree to make proclamation throughout all Israel, from Beersheba even to Dan, that they should come to the house, that they should come keep the Passover unto the Elohim Yah of Israel at Jerusalem, for they had not done it of a long time in such sort as it was written. So the post went with the letters from the king and his princes throughout all Israel and Judah, according to the commandment of the king, saying, Ye children of Israel, turn again unto the Elohim Yah of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, and he will return to the remain of you that escaped out of the hand of the kings of Assyria. See, you will see that we basically escaped the Syrians. You know what I'm saying? The history that's being pushed today with that 10 lost tribes come from the Sephardi groups who were scribes from Babylon. They was placed in our land in 722 BC by the king of Assyria. Okay, if you go to Second Kings chapter 17, verse 24. Chapter 17, verse 24. This is in 722 BC. You see that word Sephardim. Sephardim. That's the Hebrew word that covers Sephardi, Sephardim, and Sephardic Jews. You know what I'm saying? They like one, but mixed a little more as they moved around. You know what I'm saying? That's like the Sephardics gonna have a little more European strain. The Sephardims, the Sephardims, they gonna have a little Arabic Edomite heritage to them. And the Sephardi's are kind of like coming off the Amorites. You know what I'm saying? They like the original name that they had. You know what I'm saying? But they are Sephardim. That's where they come from. And they was placed in our land in 722 BC. Okay, like I said, with Second Chronicles dealing with King Hezekiah, you'll also see that they came to the Passover dinner. You know what I'm saying? You'll see some strangers. This is in 715 BC. This is 7 years after the king of Assyria placed them. And as you read Second Chronicles 30 all the way down to verse 25, you will see, some strangers came to the Passover dinner with us. That was them. Okay, but as you read Second Chronicles 30, you will see that all the tribes there, especially when you get down to Second Chronicles 30, verse 18, you'll see that it says, a multitude of the people, even many of Ephraim and Manasseh, Ashkar, Zebulun, had not cleansed themselves, yet they did eat the Passover otherwise than that it was written. But King Hezekiah prayed for them, saying that the good Elohim pardon everyone. You know what I'm saying? So as you read down, you'll see that them, tribes still there. Them people still there. So it wasn't no lost tribes. You know what I'm saying? And that's as you go, Second Chronicles 30, verse 11, you'll see, nevertheless, diverse of Asher, Manasseh, Zebulun humbled themselves and came to the Passover dinner. So, it was never any lost tribes. It was never any lost tribes. This is 7 years after the Assyrians did their little thing. And these are the people that the Assyrians took. If you go to First Chronicles. First Chronicles chapter 5. Chapter 5. Chapter 5. First Chronicles chapter 5. All right, First Chronicles chapter 5. And then you get to verse 18. You know what I'm saying? You see the sons of Reuben, the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh. Violent men able to bear buckler, sword, and to shoot bow with skillful in war were 440,703 that went out to war. See, those are the ones that the Syrians need because the Syrians was having trouble. You know what I'm saying? With them people coming out the mountains and stuff, them Scythians. All right. And then as you read and get down to verse 26, that's First Chronicles chapter 5, verse 26, you'll see it says, "In the Elohim of Israel stirred up the spirit of Paul, king of Assyria, in the spirit of Talakaplasar, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh, and brought them unto Hela and Habor and Hara, into the river Gazon unto this day." So those are the ones that the Assyrians need. But they came home during the satire period because Prophet Isaiah said that they would, come home and stuff, and that the ones that was taken, you know what I'm saying, would come home because we was friends with Assyria in its last days, Egypt and Assyria, because them Babylonians was trying to attack all of us, trying to get rid of all of us. And then they ran us into the Sahara. You know what I'm saying? We took off into the Sahara in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 44. This is like 134 years from the time that the Sephardims was placed in Samaria in 722 BC. When you get to the book of Jeremiah, you'll see that, we all went into Africa. You know what I'm saying? We abandoned the covenant at 100%, all the tribes, because it wasn't no lost tribes. Everybody went to Judah. Everybody went to Judah. And we all went into Africa. You know what I'm saying? And that's where, we was captured at. And those curses that Prophet Moses told us would get us when we broke the covenant came to pass. And that's why come we in this captivity. You see, chapter 44, we said we didn't want to do the covenant no more. And we was through with the law that Moses gave us, and that we only wanted Egyptian worship. You see, and that caused our enslavement. It was already set out. You see, us leaving from right here, going into there. That's what happened to us. We left the promised land and went into the Sahara. Egypt borders was all over here and stuff. You see pyramids still in lower Libya and certain parts of the Sudan. And saying? That's where we went to. That's where we went to. That's where we went to, and that's where we was enslaved from, the Sahara. And then they brung us west. And then they brung us to this new Egypt. You see what I'm saying? That's why come America got all them Egyptian symbols and stuff. And everything related to Egypt is basically here and stuff in a symbolic form or straight out. Okay, during the Assyrian times, in the Babylonian times, them Hebrews all came from there and came back home and went into Africa. And it's what you call the satire history of Egypt. Man, if you go to Isaiah chapter 20, that's Isaiah chapter 20. So he'll tell you that the king of Assyria led away the Egyptian prisoners and the Ethiopian captives. You know what I'm saying? So they was taken away during the same time that we was taken away. So they let you know that, when no Egyptians and Ethiopians took to all these places that the Sephardi Jews say that we was taken to. See, they were scribes, and when we abandoned our heritage to them, they start writing books. All the books outside the Tanakh belongs to them. All the books outside the Tanakh belong to the people that we abandon our heritage to. See what I'm saying? They were scribes from Babylon already. You know what I'm saying? They was from Sephardim, and they wrote books, and they responsible for the whole history of Babylon. The whole history of Babylon is what they responsible for. And when we abandon our heritage to them, they start writing books. And then they did trade with all these nations and all these other peoples and stuff. And they made Jews out of them from trade and stuff. So everybody that didn't go into Africa and wasn't enslaved from Africa and brung here on ships, just like the curses say. You see, you got to fit the curses at 100% to be the Hebrews. It can't be off 4 or 5 curses or 6 or 7 curses. It's got to be all the curses, and we fit all the curses because we was taken to this Egypt, and our whole heritage was blotted out, just like the Creator said. You know what I'm saying? If you go to Jeremiah, you'll see that, we said that we was through with the covenant and we don't want nothing else to do with the covenant, and we only wanted Egyptian worship. So it had to be a price for that, being that the Creator freed us from Egypt, and all them Egyptians died because of us one time. You know what I'm saying? Been up on our Exodus. Them Egyptians basically tricked us out the covenant because they was afraid of us. Them Egyptians tricked us out the covenant and got us on that Egyptian worship when they killed King Josiah. That's King Hezekiah's great grandson. And that's another thing in 621 BC. In 621 BC, 638 BC, you'll see that King Hezekiah had the rest of the tribes, mention the rest of the tribes that his great granddaddy didn't mention. You see, when you go to Second Chronicles 34. Second Chronicles 34. Second Chronicles 34. You'll see that King Josiah mentioned them other tribes that wasn't mentioned during King Hezekiah times in 715 BC, 7 years after the Syrians took the fighters. You see what I'm saying? You see them tribes right there. That's the tribe of Manasseh, Ephraim, Simon, and Naphtali. Those are the ones that wasn't mentioned during King Hezekiah times. You know what I'm saying? So, it was never any lost tribes. All of us went into Africa. And this is all of us going into Africa right here. I turn right to it. Shalom. All right. 2 Kings, verse 25, chapter 25, verse 26. And all the people, both small and great, and the captains of the armies arose and came to Egypt, for they were afraid of the Chaldeans. The Chaldees. The Chaldees was slick Ashkenazi. You know what I'm saying? Ashkenazi code name in history is Scythian. And they settled in the Discopolis. Scythopolis, those are the descendants of the Scythians. You know what I'm saying? They was even there during Jesus' time. Jesus had them as his members and stuff. But this is everybody during the Babylonian War. Everybody went into Africa. All the tribes from King Hezekiah and King Josiah days. They mention all the tribes. You know what I'm saying? So, them tribes didn't vanish from then to the Babylonian times. We were still around, and it was never any 10 lost tribes. I explained how it's impossible for the Hebrews to have left Assyria right here and went through a magic water portal and end up in the Americas with no food, with no sheep, no goats, no horses, and no cattle, or nothing that we had. And it's already established fact that those same Sephardi Jews that we abandoned our heritage to, that went to Spain in 70 AD. You see, in 70 AD, no Hebrews went into Africa. Those was the Sephardi Jews fleeing the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire was slick controlled by Ashkenazi. They was having a proxy wars. The Greeks was controlled by the Sephardims. They was mostly rioters. So the Greeks was controlled by them, by the Sephardi Jews. And then Ashkenazi come in around about 30 BC and bust their temple up. Y'all know when they got that stuff in Revelations where it say that Jesus said those are the synagogue of Satan who say they are Jews